Take that off. I'm going to start reading in John chapter 11, verse 1. It says, "Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha." Verse 4 says, "When he heard this, Jesus said, 'This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it.'" Then I'll read verses 11 to 14. Basically, what was happening is the man Lazarus got sick, and that is who Jesus was referring to. But I'll read verses 11 to 14. It says, "After he had said this, he went on to tell them," he was talking to his disciples, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up." His disciples replied, "Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better." Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead." And then I'll go on to read verse 15. "And for your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." The scriptures that follow this is Jesus interacting with Lazarus' sister, who was upset that he had died, and she was discussing it with Jesus. And then Jesus actually goes to the place where they had buried Lazarus, because he had been dead for a couple of days at least. The last thing that Jesus says is actually in verse 44. What I will do is I'll read verses 43 and 44. "When Jesus had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, 'Lazarus, come out.' The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen, and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, 'Take off the grave clothes and let him go.'" There may be things that have us bound in life, just like the grave clothes had Lazarus bound. Society may try to tell us how we should be living or what we should be doing. We actually may be bound by our own mindset, and that may have us bound based on our age or our season of life. I believe that if we are bound in any way, God is saying, take that off. God does not want us to be bound, just like he did not want Lazarus to be bound. My encouraging scripture is going to be in John chapter 11, and it will be verse 25. Jesus was speaking to Martha when he said this, and this was before he actually raised Lazarus from the dead. He says, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die." Do you believe this?